In terms of the pool of candidates that have been discussed thus far to succeed Prime Minister Abe, I would say the market's perception of Mr. Suga is that because he served as Abe's chief cabinet secretary for the entire duration of his prime ministership since 2012, that Suga-san does have a handle and a grip on essentially the same or similar reform agenda, economic policies that essentially Abe was trying to pursue. So I think from the perspective of markets, investors are looking for stability, continuity. You know, Japan's political history is marred by this rapid, turnstile of leaders. And that is the biggest fear, of course, of the markets, which is to go back to that pattern of constant change at the top. Because when you have that turnover, obviously it's much more difficult to implement, especially much needed structural reforms in the economy.
Yeah, and that's basically my follow-up. So we can expect Suga to continue Abenomics, correct?
I think that is the basic thrust of what Suga's agenda or platform he will be pursuing. That's correct. Now, just technically speaking, the person that is going to be elected as the president of the LDP technically is only supposed to serve the remaining period of Prime Minister Abe's term, which is September of next year. However, there's a little bit of a twist now. Recently, there's talk of the possibility of, let's say it's Suga that's elected in a couple of weeks, that the LDP or he may actually call sudden snap elections, in which case there is a possibility that he could actually last beyond the next 1 year. That's not decided yet, but.
Which would be more favorable to the markets, do you think? I mean, do you think investors would like to see something that has perhaps more lasting power, if you will, in the form of a snap election?
I think there are differing views. On the one hand, they would like that stability at the top. On the other hand, it doesn't come without zero risk to hold an election, right? And so putting the vote to the people, and I think that Suga will definitely need to have, before he calls a snap election, if that is the scenario, a pretty high and rising support rate. Remember that the opposition parties right now in Japan are scrambling to try to combine with each other to try to form a more formidable opposition to the LDP if elections were to be had. So if the timing is right, if you can ride an improvement in the cabinet support rate, if you can do this before the opposition have a chance to really coalesce and strengthen on their side, then I think there's a possibility that the LDP could do fine. He could win, a 3-year term, and that would take him out to 2023. And I think that stability is probably what would be favorable for markets at this juncture.